Hello and welcome to week 5, chapter 6, iterations. In this chapter, we're actually going to go over a few concepts. And this video should not be that long. We're going over the while loop. The while loop is an iteration or the while statement, the iteration or what we call a loop. It will continue until something. So, for an example, we're driving in our car, we continue until we see a stop. So, this is like our variable um, in our Boolean condition or expression that we're using. We're going to keep going, or the loop is going to keep going until something is false. So, with that being said, we have to actually learn or acknowledge that our variables can change. And with that being said, we look in the book that it says int Fred equals 5, see out Fred, um, Fred equals 7, see out Fred. So what we do here, what we have done here, is declare that Fred is equal to 5, and we see out Fred. Now, what will be our outcome here? Fred will equal to 5. Now we say Fred is equal to 7. Now we see out Fred. What does Fred equal to now? Is 7. Um, I'm not sure if I stated in earlier videos that variables can change. However, constant variables cannot change. So if it has that const in front of the declaration of it, it will not change. If it doesn't, it can change. So let's look at it here. I've already created a shell for us. We have our header, just as the in number side include IO stream, and then we're going to do multiple assignments. So let's declare that first variable. So we have int Fred equals 5. Now let's see out Fred. Let's see what we get. Let's put that together right there, and we're save it, run it, compile it. This is section 6.1 or 6-1.cpp. So here we go. Fred is equal to 5, or we have the output of 5 right here. Alright, so if we now say Fred equal to 7, and we see out Fred, what shall we get? We actually will get 5, 7, because we have this going close together, and then we have the 5, we have Fred, we don't have a new line operator, so therefore it's going to be right close together. So Fred equals to 7. So let's see it work, see it in action. So 5, 7. So we see that Fred changed from 5 to 7. Okay. Now, the reason why we're going over this is because when we talk about while loops, and I'm jumping to section 6.3, while statements, the variable will change. Now, let's take a look at the variable, and then we'll run it later. Now we're going to revisit our countdown from the last chapter. Our int, we have an int countdown. This is our function. We have a number coming in, and we did this the last time. You may not have paid attention or understood what was going on, but we have a value coming in this case we're going to have 10. It's going to come in 10, Then we're going to see out 10. Then we have 10 minus 1 was equal to 9. Then 9 is going to go through in the while statement. And then it's going to check and see if is 9 greater than 0? Yes. Then it's going to print out 9. Then this is 9 minus 1 is 8. As you see here, every time that it goes through, the variable n is changing until we get to that one particular time where it's not, and then it comes down to the blast off. So let's look at this. Let's actually save, compile, and run it. This is section 6.3, 6-3, the CPP. Oh, we have something wrong. Let's see. Oh, we're missing our endings. And I think I did a little spelling wrong. When you're working, kind of fast and early in the morning, as you can see, well, it's not early for me, but you're working, sometimes you get a little off. That's why we say check, check, and know what you're doing. All right. Now we have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 blast off. Now we notice this down the road right here because we're having a new line every time, so it goes down to the next line, not all in one. That's going to be very important when it comes down to what the book calls tables, but it's actually arrays. If you look on the internet and look up arrays, you'll see arrays are somewhat set just like this. Arrays are spelled A-R-R-A-Y-S or A-R-R-A-Y. Excuse me, had to think about it. But as we go down here, we go down. We will never see 0 because we have n is greater than 0, not greater than or equal to. And then we will, and then we continue on from here. So, as we continue to see it, here we go. All right. Our next section, section 6.4, which we actually go into tables, which are arrays. Now, in this case, well, this is an actual table. We want to show that we have a tab sense. So here's something new that we have. We have \t. That's in double quotes. Then we have also a \n. Now we know that NL, it means new line. We have another way we can do new line. For to enter is \n, and with the t, \t. Now I will actually put this in your test. I'll do it just like I did one of the other ones. This is chapter 5, so in chapter, this is week 5. So in week 6, you'll have this extra bonus points in your test where I will ask how do you tab in C++, and you will just write \t. You don't have to put the, well, you have to put the double quotes as well. So you'll have to write it just like this: the double quotes \t. Um, we might. I'm not sure if I will have the how to write the or how to write the two ways of actually returning something or going to a new line, but I know I will have the tablet. All right, so let's look at this and see how is it structured. So if you notice, we have the number side include IOStream and the number side include CMath because we're using a log right here. And this is what we have right here in the section 6.4. So we look at it, we have double x equals 1.0, and then we say while x is less than 10.0, then we're going to see out x, which is our 1. Then we're going to tab over, and then we're going to do the log of 1.0. And then we're going to go down to a new line. And then we're going to take 1 plus 1, or we're going to take x plus 1, and then store it into x, and then come back around to the while loop. Okay, it doesn't go to the 9, it starts where the while starts. So inside the while loop, it's going to continue going in a circular direction until it is false. So until x is equal to what we'll say 9. But we'll continue going and see how it works. So let's say compile and run it. This is section 6-4.cpp. And yes, there we go. We have starts at 1, and the log of 1 is 0, and then it goes to 2. The log of 2.0 is 0.693147, so forth, and so forth. Now I think it goes on to change it up some. We can actually do that within the book. It gives us different. If these values seem odd, remember that the log function uses base e. Since power of 2 are so important in computer science, because that's binary, we often want to find the logarithm with specific to base 2. To do that, we would use the formula log x2 log 2 x, which have a base 2, equals log ex over the log of e2. Now, if you don't understand that, it is in the book. However, I'm going to write it here because it gives us, we can put this in the C++ form. We have log of x divided by log of 2.0 because we have to have a double inside there. So we just divide what we had by log of 2. As we already know, this is base e, but we do it with log of 2. Okay, so let's save that, run it, and we have something different, which we have something a little bit different, and it changes on, you can just change the coding up or I like to call this part right here our calculation. So we can put our, let's see, this is the calculation, and just as a reminder, I know this is somewhat in the middle of towards the end of the week. Um, in some cases, I go back and forth with different notations and information, and right now we're in the week. We're in the first week, or ending the first week, and I noticed in some of the collaborations we talked about comments, and I found the article, and this, I know this would be very um very odd. This is for Future Sense, and I'm doing this on the week one. As I said, I was a little behind. Um, I had to do some other work before I could get back to this. However, make sure you place your comments. Let the programmer, or let me know what you know, and what's going on. Um, that in the sense that, okay, right here we're declaring a variable. I think variable. Okay. Um, right here where the variable is entering into the while loop. Not sure why that W always come out like that when it's blue. Okay, and this is the calculation, and all this, and we can put information right here too. Let's make sure we have two. This is used because we are using the log function. Okay. Things of this nature. Let's make sure that we actually are putting in comments, so I know that you know what you're doing, and also it will keep a placeholder for you, so that if you have to go back into into a program, that you will know what's going on, and you'll have a reference to what's going on. Okay, so let's move on to the next. We're looking at two-dimensional tables. So in a two-dimensional table, what we start looking at is the where you have rows and columns. So then this is like a two-dimensional array. Um, the one-dimensional array is where you have one line going from left to right, or you can have it going from top to bottom. But in the sense of the book, most books and information is stored from left to right within an array. As we said with the two-dimensional tables, um, as you notice, we have a nested loop with the if. You say if else, then else. With within the if else statement, with the loop, you can have a while loop inside a while loop. However, let's just see what we got here. Let's read what a two-dimensional table is. A table where you choose a row and a column and read the values at the intersection. A multiplication table is a good example. Let's say you want to print the multiplication table for the values from 1 to 6. A good way to start this a good way to start is to write a simple loop that prints the multiples of 2 all on one line. So this is where we're going to start right here. um, as we see, we have the information that we're having. We have int I equals 1. You will see that a lot. You will see where you will start I, and then you'll have another excuse me, another letter sometimes within it. Sometimes it's Y, or you just notice that it's another variable. So you have, as long as I is less than or equal to 6, we're going to do something. That something is cout 2 times I, and then we'll leave a space. So if we wanted to, instead of leaving a space like this, we can put that tab in there, and then we'll have it evenly tabbed. And then in the next we have I equals I plus I, or we can say I plus plus. Excuse me, I equals I plus, I think that should be 1. Yes. And I put I equals I plus 1. No. This means just add 1. If we also notice that I plus plus means add 1 as well. So we're gonna kind of look at it in both ways right here and see that the outcome is the same thing. So let's save and run this. This is section 6-5.cpp. Alright, and we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Okay, so we have it right here. So let's try to put, we're gonna take this off, and then we have to have semicolon, and let's run it, save it, and it shows the same thing. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Now when we come to it, let's put these tabs on here, and let's do T. Let's run that, and you're gonna see a little bit more space as we go. So that space allows us to have a little more room in between, so if we have longer numbers, it will not all bunch up. Okay, so we're entering in our 23 mark. As of right now, I'm actually going to let you read and continue programming the rest of the tables or the rest of the book. If you have any questions, feel free to send an email, or you can write your questions in the collaboration within the questions and answers. I will get back with you as soon as possible. I want to also reiterate that yes, today is Sunday. I do look at the computer on Sunday. However, I don't look at the computer as much on Sunday as I do Monday through Saturday. Just to let you know, if you're asking questions on Sunday, most likely, unless they're really early in the morning, they probably won't get answered until next week. By then, if you have a question on homework or something, it will not be answered. And if you don't turn in your homework on time, you will receive a 0 or minus points. So I do suggest you, again, ask questions ahead of time, turn in your work, and we'll go from there. Again, thank you for watching. I will see you next time.